Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation, Normally, joining me today at this time would be Charlie Cook. He's with Riding Shotgun with Charlie, Charlie's Gungrams, Writing Shotgun with Charlie, and a lot of other things. However, a battery on Charlie's laptop died about a minute and a half ago. And so for the first several minutes, I'm going to be solo. Let me go ahead and mention that if you want to comment on anything I'm talking about on the show, and please do comment, as comments when I'm solo really, really, really help. If you want to comment on anything I'm doing at this time, please go ahead and comment on either the Facebook or YouTube live videos if you're watching on the Polite Society podcast channel. Those get directly into me. I'll get them up and we'll get your comment on the air. We'll discuss them. If you're watching anywhere else, go to Twitter, tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. We'll get those comments up as well. Want to mention real quickly as we get going live here, time is approaching. We're the end of January, and GRPC is coming up in September. The date's 22nd through the 24th of September for AmCon on the 22nd, GRPC on the 23rd and 24th in Phoenix. So get to Phoenix if you can that weekend. And, oh, wait a minute. What are we doing? There we go. Okay. Everything's cool. So, and I hear click, click, click. That's usually Charlie Cook that is adjusting his camera. So, Charlie, how's it going, man?
It is better now that I'm back.
Well, you may be back, but your microphone isn't doing so hot. I think the microphone that's picking you up is the one in your laptop and not the one that is on your clothing. So we'll work through it. Don't worry too much about it. And I apologize. This is how the live TV goes. Sometimes they.
Is this any better?
That's much better. Okay.
All right.
Sometimes things just don't go quite as planned. Like 90 seconds before airtime, a laptop dying.
Boom.
So, let's go ahead and get started. I've already reminded people to comment and about GRPC coming up in September. But first story I got is a Cam Edwards story off Bearing Arms. And Cam does these a lot. Cam does stories about people who are many times felons who happen to get into trouble again. This one came out today. Darius Moss is no stranger to police in Chicago. Since 2014, Moss has been arrested an incredible 32 times. That's in 10 years, that's 3.2 times per year to be arrested and still be out on the street. Moss's latest crime arrest came on Friday afternoon after authorities say he robbed a man at gunpoint on a Green Line train. Since Chicago bans firearms from all CTA premises, Moss may have rightfully believed that the odds of his victim also being armed were pretty slim. But the repeat offender ended up winning the armed citizen lottery by picking an off-duty security guard who had a gun of his own as his intended target. According to police, around 5 p.m. Friday, Moss approached a 25-year-old man on a CTA Green Line train near the Laramie station and tried to rob the younger man. That second individual, who has a CCL and a valid firearms owner identification card, produced his gun and shot Moss. The victim, the man who fired the shots, was not hurt during the incident. Down further in the story, it goes on to say that the defender fired 18 rounds. Think a Glock 17 fully loaded with one in the pipe and emptying the gun. The only one hurt, as far as I was able to find, the only one hurt was the bad guy. Charlie, I'm going to say on this one, first of all, let's get some training. Let's make sure of 18 shots, like 17 or 18 of them hit the damn target and not just in the leg.
This is true. That's Joe Biden's advice. Shoot him in the leg, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just shoot him in the leg.
But where's the double-barreled shotgun?
Right. That's at home with his wife, Jill.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So, I mean, the good news here is we have a happy ending story. I'm not sure. Does it say that Moss expired?
No, he was treated and then arrested.
He was treated and arrested. All right. Well, hopefully he'll change his mind and change his career and decide to not rob people anymore. 18 shots is quite a few. I do believe that high capacity magazines are illegal in Chicago.
They are.
So I can totally see that. The soon to be unemployed Miss Watts would get all over this man and say, well, he's committing a crime by carrying 18 rounds of ammunition, and he's carrying the gun on the CTA where you can't carry a gun on the CTA. So 18 shots, yeah, he should land a few. Which is also why you need a high capacity magazine, because you might not get all of your shots on the target.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe there's a guy that I know that teaches classes in Utah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We could absolutely help this guy out. So we would encourage him to spend some time dry firing.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to get this comment up because I think Robert has access to show notes because he knows what our next story is going to be. Did you see the perp in California shooting used an assault handgun? Let's go ahead and talk about that one. Another Cam Edwards story off Bearing Arms. Yeah, apparently a bad guy who may have mentally slipped a cog used a handgun that is banned in California. Magazines for that handgun that are banned in California, and something like a short-barreled rifle stock. But anyway, a whole bunch of things were illegal about what this guy had. He went out and shot up a dance studio, and then when the police caught up to him, he decided that he would take care of the lethal injection himself. It was a lethal injection of lead. So, the one thing I get out of this one, and there was a separate story from Cam that where Cam talked with Chris Cheng, and apparently this guy was known in the community and known that there was some things going south upstairs. But anything you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, it goes back to if somebody gets a firearm that's illegal to possess, if they get a magazine that's illegal to possess, and they get ammunition, what kind of laws are going to stop them when it's already illegal for them to possess these? Then sprinkle in the fact that he's not sane. He's got some issues and concerns, some mental health problems. It's a losing proposition. It's a losing proposition for us, not just for the people that he shot, but it's bad for us as well.
Well, and take on top of that the California makes it not impossible, but they're working on that, for a good guy to be anywhere near there with a gun to stop him.
I mean, this is, if this happened, if there was a security guard on the CTA in the previous story, then we wouldn't have had this guy would have assumed the room temperature a little quicker.
Yeah.
You know, it says he killed 10 people and wounded 10 others.
Yes, that's the last numbers I got. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had obviously a little more either spare magazines, or he was a really good shot and had a high cap magazine. But all this is illegal already. So,
yeah, we're getting some comments, and Michael on the Facebook side said he was 72 years old. That I can confirm through reading several news reports. Krabby Turtle, non-binary son of House Democrat Whip Color Republicans extremist charged for attack on Boston police. That one did not hit my radar today. So I will have to look that up.
So let's see. This is where I'm just like, well, you have to really analyze what they've got here. So the non-binary son of a House Democrat is calling the a House Democrat whip is he's calling the Republicans extremists, but then the person who calls the Republicans extremist is the one that attacks the police.
Yes, absolutely.
That seems pretty extreme. Seems pretty extreme too.
And he followed up with the House Democratic whip is Catherine Clark. So
Catherine Clark, gotcha. Yeah. Well,
again, that's not a story that came up. That came up on my radar today. But going back to the California story, Robert says he was also stopped at a second dance studio by a bystander who disarmed him. I did know that. He planned an attack a few hours earlier and went in, actually tried to start the attack, and somebody there disarmed them. He ran away and then did the attack he did. So,
I mean, so these people plan on wreaking havoc and attacking others, and they get their firearms illegally. So I saw one of our friends post something about, they call this an assault pistol, and I wasn't sure what he was talking about, and now that I see that it was an AR pistol, now are we going to have
specifically AR pistols are illegal in California?
Yeah, they're already illegal. It cannot be more illegal. Adding a large capacity magazine still makes it illegal, and killing people makes it illegal.
You just like there is no real double secret probation. There's nothing double illegal.
Right.
So, next story I got, and then this one actually kind of surprised me. NFA items are exploding, as specifically, this is from a Dean Weingarten story on AmmoLand, specifically suppressors. Going a little deeper into his story, in 2019, 342,860 NFA applications. These were not just suppressors, but all NFA items were processed. Fiscal year 2020, 512,315. 2021, 546,224. Notice the progression here. Fiscal year 2022, 709,508 were processed. Total number of tax stamps in existence in the USA as of 2019 was 2,042,719. Number of existing silencer tax stamps in existence in the USA as of 2020 was 2,664,774. Number of legal silencers in the United States has not been updated since 2020. It is now 2023. When this correspondent, meaning Dean Weingarten, asked representatives at the briefing if the numbers represented about a 1 million increase in legal silencers from 20 to 2022, they stated the number was reasonably correct. We're getting dangerously close to common use here, man.
That would be pretty cool, right? And this is just fun for me. These are all COVID numbers, right?
Yeah.
The use of suppressors has gone up due to COVID. We all want to put a mask on our firearms.
Yes. Very much so.
We want to put a mask on the end of the barrel so people don't know what we're up to. Ooh. Of course, you can still hear a suppressed fire, but yeah, this is great. I mean, how many more do we have to have before it becomes common use and we can have these things taken off the NFA?
Well, and there are right now, there are lawsuits. I cannot, for a certain state, that SAF is involved in any of them, but I know there are lawsuits right now to get NFA just plain repealed and to get silencers off of NFA, separate lawsuits. So I'm hoping both are successful, especially getting, and I hate the term silencers because they don't. They're suppressors. They're mufflers. You still need hearing protection if you're shooting a regular firearm with regular ammo through a suppressor, because it's going to lessen the sound. It will not silence it, and it is still loud enough that repeated use could damage your hearing.
Right, and in England, isn't it? It's uncouth if you're not shooting with a suppressor.
You actually, I believe, there are areas in Europe, and I don't know if the United Kingdom is one of them, but there are areas in Europe where you are required to have a suppressor on your firearm.
I got to tell you, a couple weeks ago, I had some issues with the muffler on my car, and it gets loud. Stagecoach is loud without a muffler.
Well,
Imagine if people did this.
You've got one of those Chrysler products that have the.
It doesn't have a Hemi.
It doesn't have a. Well, regardless,
no.
you got like a V8, right?
It's only a V6. It's only a V6. Only a V6. Doesn't have a Hemi. Doesn't have.
That's not a good sounding.
Right. I never figured this out. From hanging out with guys in auto shop in high school. I never understood the guys that like loud cars, because I'm like, man, if your car sounds like that, dude, you got to get the muffler fixed.
There's a different. There's a growl, and when you feel that growl in your chest, my heart just. It's the same as a teenager, sneaking into the strip club. It just is the same kind of reaction. But in a V6, it's like a really, really loud crowd of bees that are coming for you. It's just not the same sound, and even properly, even well tuned, it's not there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me go back over here. Just a second. Go ahead. You were starting to say something.
I was going to say, how many do we have to have in order for it to be in common use? I mean, since pre-COVID, over 500,000, and almost 750,000. That is that puts it at 1.7, 1.8 million applications for suppressors in the last 3 years.
Let me. I just found an interesting comment. C&T Designs and Arms says, if common usage for shotguns was only something like 250,000, how is it common usage for suppressors in the millions? Is it common usage according to the law? And he also followed up with, I'm driving and I don't think my voice text-to-speech redneck. So it got your message just fine. But that's a great point. And it goes to what you're saying, Charlie. I don't know the number, and where common usage came from is the original Heller decision, and it was in the it was written in the commentary in the Heller decision that you cannot ban or it is not good to ban. No, I believe it actually was you cannot ban common use firearms. And I don't know where common use.
Like, what's the limit?
Yeah, I don't know if
And
1%, if 5%.
well, here's what I'm going to say. If this is common use, then don't they say that there's 40 million pistol braces out there?
Yes.
40 million would certainly be in common use as well.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, if they say there's 100 million firearms and 40 million suppressors, that means 40 million pistol braces. Then 40% of the firearms have pistol braces on them.
And let's even look at the Bruin decision where Justice Thomas said to put any regulations on firearms, they got to follow the text, history, and tradition dating back to 1791 when the Second Amendment was ratified, when the Constitution itself was ratified. And in 1791, I don't think it was illegal to cut the stock off your musket. I don't think.
No, they probably thought it was a bad idea because you want to have a longer musket to shoot further, longer distances. But I don't know if they had gun stores the way we have gun stores now. But if people are making these things at home, man, they're making these at home.
Yeah. Well, and in 1791, they certainly were making them at home, which means the ghost gun ban is next on the list.
Yeah, every gun was a ghost gun back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Up until 1969, most guns were ghost guns.
Yeah.
By the way, I've got a few firearms here that they don't have serial numbers defaced. They just never had them. I wonder if I became a felon.
Well, I'm not going to say anything.
Next, we're going to keep this short today because we've got a really cool Polite Society podcast coming up in a little over 30 minutes. But and we'll talk about that in a few seconds. But I want to talk about this story of Weirton Daily Times. West Virginia university leaders urged lawmakers in a letter sent Friday to reconsider a bill advancing in the state legislature that would allow concealed carry of firearms on college campuses. The letter sent to lawmakers by the presidents of West Virginia State University Concord and Shepherd University expressed deep concern over the legislation which passed the Senate Judiciary Committee this week and is now on second reading in the full Senate. Higher education leaders said they strongly support the Second Amendment and the right for law-abiding citizens to own arms, but have serious reservations about the significant public safety challenges and financial burdens the bill would impose. They said because of the ongoing impact of COVID-19 pandemic, all institutions of higher education are seeing more and more students grappling with mental health challenges and in need of additional support services. Introducing firearms into this already challenging environment could have unintended consequences, they said, noting that access to firearms increases suicide risks. I'm going to say right there, baloney. It does increase successful suicides when a firearm is used, but it does not increase the overall number of suicides.
I am going to put my Rob Campbell tinfoil hat on, and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has students grappling with mental health issues. I think this is part of what they were looking for. I am one of those crazy people that thinks a lot of the COVID-19 was nonsense and trying to grab control the people, and they found a way to do it by saying everyone needs to mask and you need a vaccine and a triple vax and a double vax and a triple vax and a quadruple vax, and now they're saying, well, since we've made people stay at home, since we've made them not leave their house and not see their friends and not go out and do social things, they're now suffering mental issues. That's another reason for us not to let them have any firearms.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a bunch of bunk as well.
Well, yeah, and we want our colleges to remain target-rich criminal zones. We do not want the possibility of anybody being able to respond if somebody does lose their mind and decides to do the ultimate evil. We want the most victims we can have for that purpose. So,
yeah, it's it's ridiculous. At what point? And I do think I've mentioned this before. I think it started. At what point does somebody become a responsible adult? And we use air quotes when I say responsible adult. The Obama administration wanted to push it up to 26 years old. You could be 26 years old, living with your parents and on your parents' health insurance before you're an adult. I got to tell you, when I was in my mid-20s, I had a teaching job. I'd spent some time traveling on the road with musicians and playing in a band. I spent time living in Nashville by myself. I got a teaching job. I had an apartment with a girlfriend I was living with, and in my mid-20s, one time I was teaching when I moved back to Massachusetts. 26 years old. I didn't even know if I had health insurance, to tell you the truth. I had no clue. I had no clue how any of that stuff worked. And that's certainly not an excuse, but I was like, well, I don't think I have health insurance. I'm not going to go see a doctor. I'm going to stay home and have shots of NyQuil until I feel better.
You get enough shots of NyQuil in you, you're going to feel better whether your illness is gone or not.
Exactly. Sometimes I take NyQuil just to get some sleep.
All right. Well, hey man, let's do this. I want to, because we got just a few minutes left. Tell us about what's going on with Riding Shotgun with Charlie and anything else you want to plug, bud.
Well, I have an episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie coming out tomorrow with Diana Muller. I had the opportunity to pick her up at the Wilkes-Barre Airport in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and drive her to the Rod of Iron last fall. So I said, hey, we're in the car. We're going to film a show. So that's going to be coming out tomorrow. Last week, Writing a Shotgun with Charlie came out on the Armed Lifestyle magazine, and I interviewed Mike Hughes and Britt Lenz from Next Level Training, and that's the company that makes the SIRT pistols. They also have a new company called Refined Savages that have a couple of new products that people can have and purchase from them. And one of them is called the G-Spot, which is it's a fire starter that you put in the grip of your Glock, and they have a thing called the Torch, which is a magazine-mounted light that you can put on your gun, so that when you hold your gun up, you don't have to. If you have a light at the end of the barrel, you can tilt the gun up, and the torch comes out this way. Okay. So it's kind of angled backwards, so you can hold your gun up, not point it at people, and still use the flashlight on the bottom of your gun or bottom of your magazine. So those are coming out, and if people want to go to Riding Shotgun with Charlie on YouTube, check those out and download the podcast, that would be awesome.
Very, very cool. On my end, I want to, as we're coming up to our limit here, and I'll explain another time, but there is a hard limit at 30 minutes now, and I've got to get into that. But get in under that, I should say. Do please come join me, 5 p.m. Central Time, every day this week. We're going to continue the news of the day every day. And do please come join both Charlie and me, as well as Carrie Ann Auclair and Amanda Suffolk in 30 minutes when we do the Polite Society podcast. Tonight's interview guest, none other than Larry Correia. We'll be talking with Larry at about 10 minutes after the hour. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for commenting, and we'll see you next time.